Through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us on Atlantic Television Network. Today is a very beautiful Saturday morning, and the program we have this morning is called Atn Saturday. It's a syndicated live program of the network featuring conversation on special interest topics. We deal with news, event and stories with correspondent reports, expert opinions, and stakeholders analysis. The concept of the show is conversation between the anchor and guests about trending issues through an unscripted format conversation in the studios here and then virtual means. It starts from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Saturday morning and has musical, fashion, food, health and lifestyle topics as well as celebrity performances. So for this beautiful morning, we shall take a look at the following. And coming from River State, PDP has failed our people, Fubara. In Ogun State, Governor's wife leads work against drug abuse. Lagos State, Nollywood actor convicted for sexual assault. And in Gombe State, Governor suspends traditional ruler. And also we have this news coming from INEC, no local council elections in 2025, Yakubu. And on National Assembly, new aircraft for Tinubu. Shetima approved if required, says Akpabio. Uni Abuja, 41-year-old appointed as acting VC. And in presidency, FG will fail unless MDAs align with Tinubu agenda, says Shetima. And out there in the foreign scene in the United States, Supreme Court bans medical treatment for transgender children. We want to take a short break. When we come back, I would introduce our guests and we go into their stories proper.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
pleasant morning to you and welcome back to Atlantic Television Network program. Okay, this beautiful morning on Atn Saturday, it is my pleasure to introduce the presence of my guest, Barrister Adams Asim. He's a legal practitioner. So good to have you on the show.
Good morning to you.
Right. Also have Barrister G.U.J. Ohale. He is also a legal practitioner. Sir, good morning and thank you for joining me on the show.
Good morning to you.
All right. My name is Angel Mokoma Angelique Angel. First of all, let's look at the stories coming from River State. River State Governor Siminalayi Fibara on Thursday took a swipe at the People's Democratic Party (PDP), saying that the party had failed the people of the state. He stated that the party leadership had not played the role expected of it since the political crisis began. Fubara stated this while hosting a delegation of the Senate Committee on Privatization and Commercialization led by its chairman, Senator Orjo Zokalo, to Government House in Port Harcourt on Wednesday. Fubara said the state was currently relying on what it could do based on truth instead of party politics, adding that the state would no longer be held back by party affiliation, but would instead stand firm on its own soil to defend democracy. Okay, Fubara said, in our state today, we are no longer doing party. We are doing a movement, so you don't blame me if I don't go to the side of the party too much. The party has failed us here, so what we are doing here is to stand with our two legs on the soil of River State so that we can defend democracy. In April 60, PDP lawmakers in the State House of Reps demanded the resignation of the party's acting national chairman, Umaro Damagum, who failing to address the political crisis in River State between Fubara and his estranged godfather, Nyesom Wike. Okay, we are talking about the statement that Fubara said is that PDP has failed our people, that's the people of River State. How true is that statement? I want to come to you first of all. Barrister Asim Adams, please, what can you say about what Fubara, who is the present governor of River State, said concerning the situation in River State that PDP has failed them?
Well, thank you very much. What the governor said is somewhat the truth. And I stand, somehow with him on that particular plank. Number one is that the rivers crisis, when it started, I was wondering why members of the same political party will have issues bordering on political issues amongst themselves. Because the governor himself, the 33 or 31, 34 lawmakers as at that time, before they defected, before some of them defected, were all members of the People's Democratic Party. The second one was that, if you know why, one of the reasons the 27 or thereabout lawmakers said they defected to the APC, was that there is division in the political party called PDP. Whether that is true or not, that is another discussion. And they went further to postulate or to assert that why they have that particular thought or belief was because of the fact that when this crisis started, in-house crisis started, they wrote to the national body of PDP. And in their constitution, that when you have issues of this nature, you normally write through the secretary of the political party that you belong. That they called on them, come and intervene and see how they can, get this whole issue settled. But they wrote about 2 or 3 letters and there was no response. And as at that time, there was a suit on the position of who is the substantive secretary of PDP as at that time. So they didn't really know who to submit their letters to. That is number one. And I was now asking a question. I said, if it was to be, maybe it would be during the time of Obasanjo or even Jonathan, when you had issues of this nature, I know that the party chairman, would have intervened. I remember vividly during the Obasanjo era, the PDP in Edo State had, a very internecine, implosion. And at the end of the day, Ahmadu Ali who was the chairman of that political party as at that time, had to go to Edo State. According to him, he said, I am moving my executive members, national executive and BOT members, to Edo State, and we must settle this matter before we come back to Abuja. And they did so. And that party, the problem was resolved amicably amongst party men. So in this case, PDP abdicated their responsibilities in Rivers State. The only time I heard a voice, from the PDP national or even state, was the, I think, Olonu Nagba, what we call that, the publicity secretary of PDP, who issued a memo when these 27 lawmakers defected. That was the only time I heard a voice from PDP to say that they are no longer their members, as the case may be. But they never, even as it is as of today, the hierarchy of PDP never visited Rivers State to have a first-hand knowledge of what transpired between the governor and their members or their ex-members, as the case may be. They just stood there. That is the fourth point. The fifth one for me is that if you look at Rivers State, periscoping what is happening in Rivers State today, the PDP for me is dead. I may be wrong, but I'm saying that the PDP for me is dead, in my opinion. Because one, I don't even know who is the chairman of PDP, in the zonal region here, that's Rivers State. I don't know who their executives are. Apart from their headquarters along Aba Road, I don't have anything to know about PDP in Rivers State. They also allowed, the opposition party APC, to, bestride, Rivers State politics or firmament like a colossus in the person of Tony Okocha. If you look at, Tony Okocha has put both the governor and the government of Rivers State on his toes, whether rightly or wrongly. He has been so visible both in the media and the social media. On television is there, on radio is there, press conferences being held, trying to make sure that he has sat his position, upon, the PDP and even the governorship, the governors of Rivers State, as case may be. So PDP abdicated their responsibility. So if the governor is saying that, well, I somewhat, agree with him to that extent. Okay. But finally on this, there is nothing he can do. He said, there's one or two things he can do. If he believes that the PDP has swayed him, then he has to go to another political party and join, because he cannot be partyless, while he's there. That is politics we play in Nigeria here. So that is my take for now.
All right. I think I really see the reasons why you said what you say concerning what Fubara, who is the present governor, said in respect to what is happening in Rivers State. Now, when it comes to the crisis, I believe he was talking about the situation in Rivers State. Now, the crisis, do you think it is it has to do with individual, or it has to do with the party, like PDP versus APC? I'm talking about you, Barrister J.U.J. Ohanle.
Yes, thank you very much. The crisis is individual based.
Okay.
But the truth remains that even the party is made up of individuals. And when crisis affects an individual who is a top person in the party, it will definitely affect the party. If not, as a point of a beginning, it started with an individual. Okay. But due to the role of those very individuals in the party, it now affects the party. For instance, like my learned colleague mentioned, PDP is divided. And a house that is divided against itself shall not stand. Who divided it? It is those individuals that actually had the crisis, and so they brought the crisis into the party. And their followers now also enhance everything by virtue of saying, I am for this person, and this person says, I am for this person. Actually, while I was reading, I saw where it was said that those who are benefiting from the crisis should stop benefiting so that the crisis will stop. There are people who are benefiting from this crisis, permit me to say that. And except they stopped benefiting from it, it shall not stop. The reason is that when they go to the Honorable Minister, Ezenwonye Sowunike, Minister of FCT. There are those who are his forerunner here in Rivers State. Okay. They go to him, they make ends meet in order to either defend him or foster his own whims and caprices in the state. Vis-a-vis those who say they are now for the present governor of Rivers State. They also go to him and get money so that they can be able to stand their ground. So it follows that the problem is caused by, the problem itself cannot be cured except those who are benefiting. Putting virus into everything stops doing that. Now, how do we handle that now in Rivers State? Because it's already a deteriorating state in Rivers State. The Rivers State government, they don't talk anything other than the crisis. And that's why some time ago, I don't read anything concerning Rivers State and the crisis. Once it's yes, Wike say this, I will leave it. Once it's Fubura says this about them, and yes, I will leave it. The reason is that the continuous talking about this thing will keep inflaming the whole thing, thereby heating up the polity. So I am of the opinion that they should allow this issue to rest. The governor of Rivers State should concentrate on governance and stop talking about the former governor of Rivers State, Ezenwoye Sowike. And the honorable minister should also stop disturbing the peace of Rivers State by actually, in one way or the other, still allowing the boys or those who are his loyalists to still be acting or parading themselves as if he is still the governor of Rivers State. He is no longer the governor of Rivers State. All those who are his loyalists should also take it assault and realign with the present governor of Rivers State so that Rivers State can move forward. Because without doing that, let me tell you, sir, Buhari has come and gone. It doesn't matter how good or bad President Tinubu is doing. It will be an error if the presence of Buhari is still highly felt in Nigeria as a country. I think it will also to an extent bring disorganization. What we are saying is that yes, Wike, the honorable minister, is a very good man. Now to maintain that goodness, he ought to, in one way or the other, whatever it will take him, to disconnect from his presence being highly felt in Rivers State, thereby allowing the present governor to rise. The present governor is his son, politically, and there is only one person that will ever pray a prayer that no other person will pray for you, and that is your father. What will your father pray? Your father is the only one who will pray that you will be greater than him. Okay. That is your father. All right. Apart from your father, no other person prays that prayer. So it should actually be on the mode of ensuring that Rivers State goes for whether Fubara is doing well or not. Let him devise a means of supporting the government to ensure that Rivers will get the best. It is a 4-year tenure. After the 4 years, if he does very well, he will support him again. If he doesn't do very well, he will say, you did not do very well. I don't think I will support you. That is how God, but in this dispensation where Fubara is the executive governor of Rivers State, I am of the opinion that every issue that is in one way or the other interfering with the peace of Rivers people or with the governance of Fubara in Rivers State should be stopped in any way at all.
Okay. All right.
That is my own take.
Okay, I think I see your reasons. I believe that both the APC and the PDP are actually watching, and they are going to really take proactive measures and making sure that everything they come to term in making sure that the Rivers people are being governed well. I don't know if Barrister Adams, you have a little thing to add on that. I believe you
yes, I listened to my colleague, and okay. What he explained and his submission was very succinct.
Okay.
You know, but I just want to add a little to this. It's because the kind of nature of politics that we play. You know, if you look at it, it will be very, very difficult, you know, for us to discountenance what is happening, you know, between Yesu Wike and the Fubara. Until and unless we kind of kill that aspect of godfatherism, according to what we call, because it's really Nigeria heard about what they say political godfathers. The only way I heard, or something close to that, in the U.S. was when Harry Truman, one-time president of America, was to come in. There was a certain billionaire who was always, supporting him and trying to say he was the godfather to Harry Truman. And when he became president, immediately Harry Truman had to, cut the apron string and say, this is America, I have to rule and govern America according to the spirits and letters of the Constitution. Now, the only way we can, have a semblance of what is happening in other countries is if this issue of godfatherism, because young men, if I want to become a local government chairman, for instance now, I need to go to my local government area. Even if I'm very popular among the youth, I may not win an election until somebody that is known as the political Iroko, or people they call is the grassroots chairman, support me.
Okay.
Or bring me to the party, whatever the case may be.
All right.
You now promote me. So when I get in there, of course, it's going to demand one or two things for me to pay back.
Okay, I just believe they have to really reason together, because they said when two elephants fight, it's only the grasses that suffers.
Absolutely,
right?
exactly.
So when both of them come together, and remember that they are toiling with people, that is the citizens that voted them there.
Absolutely.
You understand? I believe that peace and tranquility will reign in Rivers State.
Exactly.
Now let's go to Ogun State. The wife of the Ogun State Governor, Bamidele Abiodun, has emphasized the need for everyone to join forces with the government to win the war against drug and substance abuse. Abiodun, according to a statement on Friday, made us call when she led an advocacy work in Abeokuta, the state capital, in commemoration of the 2024 United Nations International Day against drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking. The First Lady, who doubles as the chairperson of the Ogun State Drug Control Committee and the ambassador of war against drug abuse, lamented the alarming rate of prevalence of drug abuse and drug-related vices, especially among the youth. She said this ugly trend of increased drug and substance abuse by our youth needed urgent intervention of all and sundry so as to nip these in the bud and avert grave consequences. Now, we are talking about the wife of the state governor, and he is leading a work against drug abuse, as you can see. But the question coming from me right now is, do you think that there is a need? I'm coming to you, Barrister Asim Adams. Okay. Do you think that there's a need for massive advocacy and education in order to really help the fight against drug abuse in the country, as been led by this woman?
Well, you see, the effect of drugs in our society has been very, very cataclysmic. Okay. With consequences that are very dire. Now, if you look at it, the reason why we have this proliferation of the use of drugs among youth or even elders or people of age is because of this great moral erosion that has taken place in Nigeria. And the little fabric that was left of morality, in our society was finally eroded, in the early or mid-90s, where you see corruption crept in. You now see that misdemeanors, crept in. Youthful exuberances were not curtailed. Good example is it. I want this governor or whoever that is doing the work to do more than walking. It's not by walking. Maybe once in a while you come out and do your walking on the street and say you are working for drugs. That is not how to fight drugs. It's part of it, but it's not the only concept that you can use to fight drugs. Now let me tell you. Do you know that when I was growing up in the mid-70s and late 70s, when I got to the secondary school, you dare not even take a stick of cigarette and smoke amongst your peer groups. They will report you to the principal or to the housemaster. Now, you dare not, whether you are 16, whether you are 17, you dare not go to a drinking parlor. The elders there will reprimand you, hold you and ask of your parents and take you to your parents and reprimand you before your parents and say they met this young man where elders were singing and drinking and whatever as case may be. Talk less of having hard drugs. That was as at that time. In those days too, why do you think that most of us became lawyers today and we can even face the public and address them? Because we belonged to a particular group they call literary debating society. You understand? In the secondary school. In that secondary school, we had man o' war, you had Boy Scouts. They were teaching us ethics and how to avoid, straying up from our normal course that is destined for us by God. But those things are lacking today.
Yeah.
SU, Student Union, Scripture Union, were all embedded in our curricular activities in those days. Okay. I don't know if we have this in secondary school or even primary schools today. In those days, when you attend the Scripture Union meetings, they tell you not to how you have to be virtuous, not to participate in these vices that we have today. They were teaching us, so we grew up with that kind of mentality. So what they need to do is not just walking around. What they need to do is to go back to those days and look at the curricula. They look at what has been going on. Look at the system, how it was practiced, and introduce it today in schools. Because they say the youths, are our future. For the youths who took over Nigeria at that time, most of them were not that corrupt if you look at what happened. Sir Ahmadu Bello was how old when he became prime minister? Yakubu Gowon became 30, he was 32 years old when he took over power, and he was not even married at the age of 32. But he lived a life that was so transparent to an extent. Murtala Mohammed, people know Obasanjo and the rest of them, because they had, great training. Look at people like Nnamdi Azikiwe. You never heard they were involved in drugs or maybe anything that happened. But today, they will tell you this politician is on drugs.
Exactly.
You understand? They say, this man is on drugs. This one is windy. This one is corrupt. In those days, it can never happen. So what they need to do is this. Let them go back to the roots. Let them, because if you build the family, you are building the society at large. That is the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria. I have seen a drug addict. I have also cared for a drug addict, a young man who was related to me. Okay. I knew what we went through, but when I asked question how he came of this, it was the adults, the grown-ups that were selling this to a young boy of 16. I mean, do you think that if we do not go on that kind of campaign to the society, to the family, we achieve much? I don't think so.
I believe you've really registered your own contribution. Barrister Ochiuje, you know that the surge of this drug abuse has really impacted negatively in the lives of people, the youth. In reaction to this, what do you think should also be done? He talks about incorporating some of these in the school curriculum like they did back then in the school so that the students will be aware. Now, what also do you think should be done in order to minimize or reduce it to the barest minimum? The rate of drug abuse in the youth is quite alarming and it's eating them up, making them, hindering them to progression. So what do you think?
All right, thank you very much. What should be done is adequate sanitization. Okay. Adequate sanitization may not be achieved through this medium the governor of Ogun State is actually pushing only, even though, like my learned colleague said, is part of it, she's trying, but adequate sanitization can never be achieved only through that process. For you to achieve adequate sanitization, you must start from the head. Like my learned colleague also rightly mentioned, if those in politics, those who are the hemp of our affair, would desist from drugging, if they would desist from taking drugs, I think the fight against drug will work. It is only when they are free from the influence of drug that they will now think on how to inculcate it, like my colleague said, into the curriculum. Something you know that you are into it, it will be difficult for you to actually champion a course very properly, perhaps when you are at the verge of maybe being the one to inculcate it into the curriculum that will now start grooming the children, trying to let them know that, see, from secondary school or even primary school, you see, drugging is a very bad thing. Before you know, you will get a generation that will be free from drug. That is how it will work. But where they are not of that clear mind state to actually champion it from that angle, it will be a difficult thing. It will keep being a recurring decimal. For instance, just like they are chastising people for drugging, when you catch one, you throw him into the prison. Yet, millions of them are still into drugs. Now, even the top ones, the very top either politicians or government officials who are into drugs, nobody arrests them. So how can you achieve sanitizing the society? It will only be a kind of theory, maybe trying to please the citizens or trying to let people know that actually these people are working or they are trying to sanitize. No, but if we want to get the ratings, for us to get the rating, we must go to the root. Let those who are there, they have PAs, they have people who are serving them. Although they are watching you, your PA will see you where you are taking drugs. He will not say anything. Tomorrow he would like to go and test it because he believes that it is through drugging that brought you to that very seat. He will think that when he takes the drug, then he can be able to act the way you are acting. But in other words, it is not like that. For instance, permit me to say, if you recall, we have discussed something like this last time here concerning one university, and so which we said that even some of the lecturers, they will first of all sanitize, purge themselves from the effect of drug before they can adequately purge the students. If not, it will not work.
Okay, that means, in other words, you're in effect saying that even those people there should also get rid of drug abuse.
Exactly, and not to condemn what the state governor's wife is doing. It's a welcome development. We have to also applaud her for at least mentioning it. Because if she did not start, we can't be talking about it here today. So it's a welcome development. She's a woman of that has good tenacity. So she should continue and push it forward. Let us see how Nigeria can get rid of. Because let me tell you, the plank of the whole problem we have today is drug. Because all those they bring up from the creeks, from here, left and right, they are all into drugs.
All right. Let's just take it there. Let's just take it there. I believe that both those sponsoring the drug abuse and the use of drugs and illicit use of drugs, call it marijuana, call it any substance. I believe that when they start from those ones, they really get to the root of it, and also inculcating it in the school, in churches, at homes. Parents should also educate their children about the use of drug abuse, so that they can also represent the society in the future. A quick one. Let's move on to another one. There is okay, that's Lagos State. There is this news coming that the Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos has affirmed the judgment of a Lagos State High Court, which sentenced Nollywood actor Olarewaju James, popularly called Baba Ijesha, to 5 years imprisonment for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old minor. The appellate court, in its led judgment by Justice Folashade Ojo, presided, found the appellant Baba Ijesha guilty on count 4 and 5, where he was accused of indecently torturing a minor and sexually assaulted her. Other members of the panel, Justice Abdullahi Bayaro and Justice Paul Bassi, agreed with the lead judgment. The Lagos State government had prosecuted Baba Ijesha on a 6-count charge of indecent treatment of a child, sexual assault, attempted sexual assault by penetration, and sexual assault by penetration. In our judgment, the trial judge, Justice Oluwatoyin Taiwo, now retired of the Ikeja Domestic Violence and Sexual Offences Court, on July 14, 2022, sentenced Baba Ijesha to 5 years imprisonment over the sexual assault of a minor. Now, this is coming from Lagos State, rather. They are talking about this man popularly called Baba Ijesha. He's been sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for assaulting a minor, defiling a minor. I believe there is more to the sentence of rape or assault to a minor. I'm coming to you, Barrister Adams, as saying What can you say about this, the judgment anyway? Because some persons were saying that this is very small, a heinous crime like this, and they are sentencing him to 5 years imprisonment, that they trivialize and that.
Well, I think a lot of Nigerians, see justice from their perspective.
Okay.
And that is why you see I never blame those who interpret or see justice from their own angle, because a popular scholar and philosopher, Jeremy Bentham, wrote a book that talks about justice called The Principles of Open Justice. So justice is anywhere. When you look at it, you just say, oh, why did they do this? Why did they do that? Nobody knows the nitty-gritty of that particular matter except lawyers who represented them, and also lawyers who are trained, to look at things like this and explain why decisions were taken. But the general public does not care, because what they read in is to say, no, they should have been given 20 years imprisonment. Whereas the particular law and the offense, punitive measures for that offense, does not prescribe 20 years, as a maximum. Okay. He gives maybe 5 years, as a minimum, then 14 years, as a maximum. And the judge has the discretion when sentencing. He has the discretion to, operate between that 5 years minimum to the maximum. You understand the point now? Okay. Now, that is why it is like that. Many people are looking at it and saying, no, it must be, you have to put it. Yes, of course, I agree with them that has to take place. But the judge or the panel of appeal that took that particular decision to reaffirm the 5 years must have gone through the laws, of sentencing and saying that, see, this is the minimum we can give and this is the maximum we can give. The second one is that if you look at what happened now, how many counts do you have? It means that we had more than 4 counts. Because it said count 4 and count 5. So which means count 1, 2, 3 were, struck out, or they were, dismissed, as the case may be. And now had, count 4 and 5 based on the evidences before the court. You understand the point now? That is why he was now heard based on count 4 and 5 in the charge. As the case may be, these are things that needs to be explained to those who are not lawyers and those members of the public. Now, coming to the holistic view of this, particular affirmation of the lower court's judgment, I think yesterday, as the case may be, I am very, very happy. It may not have satisfied the families of the juvenile or the kid, to the extent that they wanted him to be punished, maximally, to have 14 years or even death sentence, as the case may be. But the law as it is not just, punitive, but also reformatory, as the case may be, So if you look at the Baba Ijesha case, I liken it to the R. Kelly's case in the U.S. Okay. The reason why R. Kelly got, life sentence was because he did that and was reprimanded in the first instance to 1 or 2, at that time. Okay. But in spite of the warnings, he still continued in that particular trade. He still continued that particular indecency, trying to, use the word rape girls and defy them, as the case may be. So the system and the court felt that, oh, this man is not fit, to be in the society amongst juveniles and young children growing up. That was how they had to extend it and give that maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Now, in the Baba Ijesha case, it's a lesson. I think it's novel somewhat, in the sense that for the first time, I am seeing a superstar. When I say a superstar, open and close. Before, we thought that superstars were above the board in Nigeria here. Yeah. That if you are a superstar, maybe you are a movie maker, like himself is a movie star. Let me use the word, say movie star. Well-known, popular in our consciousness and, in the space, the public space, especially the southwestern people, their space. Now, if you can put him, let him go through the procedures of, criminal, trial, and he has been found wanting, jailed in the first instance, then appeal court confirming that particular sentence again, I think it's a step in the right direction for me. Okay. You understand the point? So let him learn his lessons. Because I have seen, this is going to be a lesson to those people that I have seen on my own. I want them. I see people they go, do things with juvenile. For instance, I'm just 1 minute, I'll round up. For instance, I was in a particular, hospitality industry somewhere in Rivers State, and I saw a grown man that I believe that man should have some kids in the house. Walked and sauntered in to where we were with kids that I believe they were in their 15s, 16s. And they were enjoying themselves. I had to walk there because I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear moral, codes. Because I was brought up based on that moral barcode. I had to go and say, excuse me, sir, what is going on here? I don't like this. Are these your kids? He said that, in fact, he challenged me, and I said, if you do that, I'll call the police. And when I did that to him, he calmed down and he walked away. We should resent people like that. Yes. We should, put it in the know. And that is why I have advocated. We have been, when I delivered some statement on this particular delinquency and whatever people do, that the law must be maximally made. That is number one, is that all hospitality industry, whatever the case may be, the owners will be held responsible if a juvenile is defiled in one of their rooms or in the premises or precinct of their hotels, as the case may be. That will serve as a deterrent. So that people, as you are coming in, hotel owner I know there's a law. I'll tell you, Oga, please go away. I don't think this girl is up to 15 years old. You have to prove it to me that she is above then you sign something for me before I allow you to come to my hotel room. You don't allow them come to your hotel because they are paying you money, as case may be. So it's going to serve as a deterrent. And more, let me not conquer the time space given to me. I have to rest it there, but it's a vexatious one. Yeah. And I think we have to do more.
Is really quite bad in the public decency. Okay, now what's your reaction on this?
Well, the truth remains that the law has taken its course, and it is for the purpose of serving as a deterrent. It's not based on the level of what's the lengthy the duration of imprisonment, like he mentioned. Law is also for reformative, like he mentioned. That is why they changed our prison center here in River State to correctional center. It is where people will go and their memory, their certain whatever they do know before will now, that is evil, will now have to fade away, giving chance for what is good based on what they have suffered. So I think that having convicted him, number one, is a welcome development, because it still boils down to the influence of drug. People, the actors, they are also part of the people promoting this drugging we are talking about. Yes, the stars, the superstars, they are the people promoting drug. Now, if you are not under the influence of drug, how will you go and defy an underage girl, knowing that that girl is underage? So, from the stories we had, that when you take that drug, you'll be very high. I don't know how you could. I don't know what they mean by being high. So, it means that it takes you out of the realm of being human to inhuman. And that is why you can treat people inhumanly. That is why you can do what the law may call inhuman treatment. Because it is inhuman to defile a girl. And you cannot also do that with the normal eyes. So except you are high in quote. So when you are so high, like they may describe it, you can do anything. And that is also the same way they do use to shoot for those who are assassins and all. So it's everything boils down to this drug we actually talked about. So what we are saying is that the court has done very well. If he comes out and he continues, then he may also achieve something higher than that. Because justice is a three-way traffic. He also do what is justice to the state, the victim, even the accused. I think to him now, the justice he has got is that the duration is not too long. That is the justice on his own part. Exactly. Yes, and for the family, the victim is that he was convicted. And where for the state is that the law has taken its course. And I think it's a welcome development.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that one. There's a salient point you made about Atn Saturday. You were talking about those people who stay in the hotel, the hoteliers, and that they should question those young people, because even me, I've really witnessed a situation whereby about 14, 15 years of age goes, walking into a hotel, in search of a man, and you begin to ask, so what's the relationship? How can you reconcile that? Okay, I believe that there is more to that, and they also should, make a scrutiny of those girls, or coming into the hotel, trying to ascertain their age in order to prevent this abuse, this child abuse, and defilement as well.
That is, you see, that is what I was expecting, the Ministry of Women Affairs to be doing, and also our legislators, both at the local level and the national level.
Okay.
Because these things are prevalent. Let me tell you what happened in the R. Kelly case. You see, R. Kelly was not just taken up and arrested from his house. It was based on reports by those who saw what happened, corroborated by the little girl or girls that he's had all these things with, as case may be. So we should have a society, that has some fabrics or moral standard. You understand now? What am I talking about? Laws, mainly originate from the moral aspect of our living. That is why you find out that the National Assembly, the House of Assembly, has to, bring a motion before their body to say things of this thing that once you have an underage in your cover and you are bringing to any of this hospitality, whatever the case may be, that these are the things you have to do. I mean, if we have such happening now, then hoteliers and their owners can come out and confront them, or even alert the police when such that happen.
All right.
So for now, they cannot do that. They can, because there's no particular law saying that when a 14-year-old or whatever comes, to the hotel, that you can send the customer out.
They can use their discretion.
They can use their discretion. That discretion is not moral. It's not legal.
Of course, I agree.
So
it also follows when also those lawmakers also don't have interest in going out with underage.
And then the comic aspect of it. That's the comic aspect of it. But
is the bottom?
I understand. But
if they're also in that
they would have even gone near there. But the problem I see or I feel is that I believe that not all lawmakers
we agree that
are into pedophiling and all those other things may be. For those of us who are saying, let us do that in the house. Because they said, you cannot change the society by yourself. But by your conduct, you can do that. When you keep doing a thing straightforward and you keep shouting, one day they will listen to you. That is the situation we'll find out what is going on.
Exactly.
All right. But this is really very, very important. I believe there are sane ones there.
Okay.
They will come together and say, no, let's put a stop to this.
Yes.
We want a better society.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, there's a story coming from Gombe State about a traditional ruler. The governor of Gombe State, Yahaya, has approved the immediate suspension of the village head of Garin Majidadi in our local government area of the state, Muhammad Majidadi, over his alleged involvement in a transformer theft. The governor also announced the suspension of the council representing Kumo East Ward, Abdullahi Panda. Okay, and moving on, the two suspensions are contained in a statement issued by the Director General, Press Affairs, Government House, Gombe, Ismaila Miseli, and made available to journalists on Friday. The suspensions came in the wake of their arrest and subsequent parade by the State Police Command, as well as their arraignment over allegations of conspiracy in the theft and sale of a community electricity transformer at Garin Majidadi. Mr. Miseli stated that the suspension of both officials were a preventive measure to ensure that there was no interference in the legal process. He quoted the governor to have expressed his administration's commitment to always uphold the rule of law. Now, according to him, the governor further expressed confidence that justice will prevail and that the law would take its course, not only against Majidadi and Panda, but also against any other individuals found to be complicit in the theft. Now, we are talking about, in Gombe State, a traditional ruler who is found stealing a community transformer, and as a matter of fact, selling, I think, in the I'm not a lawyer, you guys call it grand larceny, right? Okay, so what can you make out of this? Because he has been suspended, a traditional ruler, I'm talking about you. I'm coming to you, Barrister Adam Sassim. What can you make out of this story of a traditional ruler who is caught in, who is involved in a theft of a transformer, and as a matter of fact, selling it together with the Council of Ward, Panda?
Thank you. I believe, Nigeria is a country where it's very difficult to be very objective when it comes to political issues and issues that has to border on authority and power over somebody. What am I talking about? The governors, under the various laws of their states, have control, appointment, removal, suspension, etc. of the traditional rulers in their domain.
All right.
We saw what happened in Kano State,
Yeah.
another threat coming up from Sokoto State until it was resisted. We also saw what happened in Rivers State, about the traditional council, replacement, etc. by governor. So they have those particular powers over and above traditional rulers in their various domains. The question we want to ask this time and this day is that, for instance, the one happening in Bauchi or Gombe State, as the case may be, the governor of the state use the powers vested in him judicially or judiciously before removing or suspending the traditional ruler? I wouldn't say for now. Two is that under our laws, Section 36 of 5 is saying that there's this presumption of innocence. Even if you are found to be an armed robber, even if you are found to be a big thief, even if you are found in this case that you were the person that took the transformer, said there should be presumption of innocence until otherwise proven. Were these taken into cognizance by the governor before removing or suspending the traditional ruler? These are questions we should ask. Now, why I'm so very, kind of stern and having some good pimples is because of the fact that because of the prevalence of the overuse of authority over traditional rulers lately and recently.
Okay.
I hope this is not an attempt to also remove the traditional ruler of that particular place. I'm not standing for him. But did they do a thorough investigation? Then he's now found complicit. As the police come out with their investigation report before the governor acted, I wouldn't say. Then on the legal aspect of it, I have argued, and I'll continue to argue, that until and unless that we go back to the 1960 constitution where traditional rulers were given a role to play by virtue of their house of chiefs, that the governor or the regional leader cannot wake up one morning and just tell a traditional to go or suspended or dethroned, as the case may be, but you go through the House of Assembly for you to do that, to get to do that. I believe that we are going to be having calamities like what we are having right now, and that control over traditional rulers. Now, what am I talking about? Traditional is very helpless. Why is he helpless now? Because under their various laws, traditional rulers are now known as public officers. They are now known as public officers that can be appointed and fired by those who appointed them. That is why we have this kind of problem in Nigeria. The governor is the one that will appoint. Even if my village now decide to say this is Mr. A that we want, you understand? We still have to go and meet the governor to give him what they call the staff of office. Why should that be? It's a traditional stool. You understand? Until we go back to those days that we normally have, dependence of the traditional institution, I think we're going to be having matters of this nature. I want a situation where, like the attack of Igala in 1954, before independence, where the British commander came and said he's going to dethrone him, and he brought a police to arrest him for an offense. He got to the police station and immediately opened his mouth. Bees came out, bees came out as like in a hornet, came out and stung both the white man and the police constabularies that were there, and they ran away, and they left the station. He went back to his palace, and he retained his seat till we got our independence. And nobody ever came close to him because they had those spiritual powers and traditional powers. Until we have such, I don't think that this is true. We have their independence. It's sad. Even if you feel that he has done this, what is the indicting report from the police? Do you sit down and listen to hearsay evidences to say that, oh, look, this man stole a transformer? It is as the case may be, so he should be suspended, not to interfere. You have already concluded. You have already concluded that is already, culpable in what you are supposed to investigate before you arrive at judgment. That is my own take on this one.
Exactly, because I
was feeling, because he's doing this now because of the fact that he sees that traditional ruler as a political office holder.
Okay.
So he can fire him, he can bring him and suspend him. And he may be acting on political suasion. In Nigeria today, if you ask today, you'll be very surprised that the governor of Gombe State is an APC man, but the traditional ruler involved is a PDP supporter. And you're very surprised, based on that shenanigan suasions, he will go there and say, suspend him, and when they suspend, the next thing is that he's going to be removed, and his own puppet will now be put there that we support. So we have to tinker with these particular traditional rulers, whatever. It's all government, 36 states, they have the powers to do all these things. And finally on this, traditional rulers must maintain that sense of responsibility in societies.
Okay.
I have never, when I grew up, I could not even go close to the palace of the Otaru. That is the king of my place. I dare not even go close to that place as a child. Because I felt that things that do happen there are in the esoteric and spiritual. So I don't even go near the palace. So even when I got up to this adulthood, I don't go to the palace without being invited. But today, you see traditional rulers coming out of their palaces to come and eat corn outside, even go to Davido's wedding and begin to banter, begin to shake hands and begin to eat chicken openly. People will not respect you. I saw a picture in that Davido's marriage, the highly revered traditional ruler coming out, standing and bantering, shaking hands with everybody. That's a desecration. No matter how educated you are, you cannot be more educated than the Queen of England. Right. The Queen does not, put his throne or her throne into jeopardy. That's why we see have that respect, for that particular, whatever the case may be. I believe they have to imbibe so that these governors will not begin treat them like that. It's not a court that remove him, or that case may be.
That's a very good one. And that's my question right now. I was trying to look at it like based on some persons were saying that it's politically masterminded. Do you think it's politically masterminded?
Well, it is very easy to actually say yes. But the truth remains that the fact that a traditional ruler is being alleged to have stolen a transformer is strange. Is strange. It's strange in the sense that as a traditional ruler, it is his duty to write to the governor of the state that the community needs a transformer. Okay. But for whatever it is, if a traditional ruler should descend or condescend so low to actually conspire or being part of dealing with a community transformer in such a manner that could be tax stealing, I think is condemnable. But however, like my colleague said, it is difficult for us to believe that, in that the whole things that are happening, if you look at the ones that have happened before with reference to traditional rulers, is now political. Now they have actually politicized our traditionals to the extent that a royal highness can no longer be seen to be a royal highness for the people. It is not a royal highness for the government. And anytime he doesn't support the government of the day, they will now look for a way to dethrone him. In my community, Omagwa precisely, they are facing so much trouble with respect to royal highness. Why are they facing so much trouble? They are facing it because the government of the day, when they support this person, if the person goes out of their own camp for any reason, which they will also be the one to describe or the acts that qualify the person to have derailed they will now say it is no longer that person. That is why in the past you see them having 2, 3 Royal Highnesses parading themselves. The one that had the support of the people, the one that had the support of government and all whatnot. My learned friend have said it all. It ought not to be. This thing ought to be separated. The government should not so much interfere with respect to who becomes a Royal Highness, a traditional ruler. Government should actually distinct from that. They should stay clear from it. Allow the people to know who rules them. And anybody the people bring, let him go in line with the tradition and no longer in line with government whims and caprices. They now appoint, hoping that because they are the chief, they are the Oba, they will use their subject to vote for them in election. Let it be far from it. Let it be very different. Let the ideology be so different. Let it be void of election time, that this traditional ruler will mobilize his subjects to vote. Let it be void of that. And by so doing, we can have what is clear traditional ruler, void of government influences, resulting into good governance at the grassroots. That is what I think. And they can no longer be pushing them around.
No, and I believe you've really spoken well as well as Barrister Adams are saying. And I believe that we are also expecting the updated stories on these as regards the investigation, because it's queer to hear that a traditional ruler, my father was a traditional ruler, and it's not really normal for you to hear that a traditional ruler ruling a community stole a particular transformer.
It's strange, oh.
It's strange, like you said. So I believe we are expecting them to give us an updated story of
That's right.
as regards what happened. Let them make investigations and tell us the truth, whether he really stole the community transformer or not. And if he did not, they should come and apologize also to him for this kind of
Scandal.
Do you know, if I will add something, why I said this, that they have to investigate? There was a particular viral video 2 years ago that made the round, that a particular traditional ruler in Edo State was a kidnapper. And you know, recently that video surfaced. If I leave this video now, I'm going to also send that video to you people. You see that where it went viral again, that they brought that thing back. The 2022 incident was now brought back by these social people. I don't know the reason why they did that. And it went viral. People were calling me because they know I'm from that particular area. They said, please, this is what they heard about the traditional ops. I said, no, it's not. This thing happened 2022. You understand? He was alleged to be a kidnapper. But later, during investigation, it was found out that it was all lies. What happened was that the traditional ruler changed the head of the vigilante. You understand, in the village. So when he changed that particular head of the vigilante, the committee went and those vigilante men went into space and said, he has changed us because he wants to bring in kidnappers, and he's a kidnapper himself because he's a young man. It means that he's a kidnapper. And that is the reason why you see kidnapping is now rife in our community. So the video went viral. I will forward it to you. So this is the kind of things just to tarnish the image of that particular institution. But thank God that we have to brace up and we have to rise to the occasion to say, let us investigate this. The police CP was called. He came in and other people, they investigated and found it was a lie. Now that particular vigilante leader is now facing prosecution, you know, for defaming, false information and defamation of that particular traditional ruler. So these are things that do happen that we should be very careful before we need them. That is my take.
All right. Okay, we want to embark on a very short break. When we come back, we continue. Please stay tuned. This is Atn Saturday.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey. Light o usai. The infrastructure, uncle, we can't talk to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, quell everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No verse. Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently. Make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Atn Saturday Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. On-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
We're glad to have you back. In case you're just tuning in, you are watching the Atlantic Television Network, and the program is called Atn Saturday. Now let's move into National Assembly. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio has said members of the upper chamber will not hesitate to approve new aircraft for President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima if there is a need. Mr. Akpabio stated this on Wednesday during the plenary. He was responding to criticism from Nigerians who condemned the planned purchase of new aircraft for Messrs. Tinubu and Shettima because of the harsh economic situation in the country. Mr. Akpabio insisted that no amount of blackmail will prevent the lawmakers from approving new presidential jets for the two leaders if it is a necessity. The Senate President, however, clarified that the presidency has yet to request for the new aircraft as stipulated in some sections of the media. The Senate is very responsible, he said. The National Assembly is very responsible. We will look into the issues that will benefit the governance of the country irrespective of anticipatory blackmail. Now, he's coming from Akpabio. He said that if the president, Mr. Tinubu and Vice Shettima, if that their request for new aircraft, that it is going to be approved for them. Now, and some persons are saying, why is Akpabio talking about buying a new jet, a new aircraft for the presidency and the vice president? That is it really necessary? Actually, that's what they are talking about. What's your reaction on these, Barrister Adams Asim? What can you make out of this?
I don't know how much time I have, but I believe that it's a very interesting,
it's a very
interesting one. The first thing I want to say is that let me be very objective here.
Okay.
The president of any country, no matter how small the country is, must be secured and protected, because he's a political leader. The Bible says that we should respect our leaders and pray for them also. But I believe good leaders, that's what the Bible was talking about, good leaders. So the president of Nigeria, for me, yes, deserves, an aircraft that can take him in and out of Nigeria as at when he needs that to happen. But the problem I have is this: if the president so need an aircraft, must we bleed to buy or get the president an aircraft? I don't think it should be so. In Nigeria today, from available record, what I read on newspaper etc. is that we have about 9, jets in the presidential fleet. And in this presidential fleet, about 9 of them for the president, vice president, and even the Senate president, as the case may be, that whenever they are going anywhere, they just pick one of them and take them out. But if they have found out that maybe one or all of them, have reasons not to fly, I believe, like other countries do, they can sell, maybe 3, 4, 5 out of the 9 that is possible, and now use that to now buy a new aircraft, for the president that will be sound and available. Now, we are witnesses to what happened in Iran recently that is leading to the elections that took place yesterday, because the vice president, or the president of Iran, as at that time, the Islamic State of Iran, the helicopter he was traveling on or with, crashed, in the mountain hills of, Iran. And later it was now discovered that it was due to mechanical problems, as the case may be. That almost caused an uproar in Iran. So my advice to the Nigerian government or the Senate is this: that they can trade in 2 or 3 of the old one that have been declared moribund, as the case may be, sell those ones, they use the money to now procure a new, presidential jet for the president. And there is no need for the vice president, in my own opinion, to have one, the president have another one. The 2 of them cannot, by virtue of procedure and conduct, 2 of them can never leave the country at the same time. So maybe when the president wants to travel, he uses that to go to America or come back again. If the VP also wants to travel, he uses the same whatever to travel out of Nigeria and come back. Because right now we are facing economic holocaust.
Yes.
Now, that is my take on this. Don't put your hand into the economic till and take money out of the whatever appropriation, whatever we have, to buy a new aircraft for the president, even though he's deserving of it. But please, if you can sell the old ones, or maybe 2 or 3, 4, get money, recoup money, and now use the proceed to now procure the jet for the president, a new one for the president, that would be very appropriate. The second argument in my own edition is this: you see, Akpabio has become, a Senate president that I cannot envisage in history that has happened right from the time Baron Stanley Montesquieu propounded the law, of the judicature, executive, and also the legislature, working independent of the order. Now, even Baron Montesquieu, now said that there may be fusion of powers. And this fusion of powers is what I'm seeing in Nigeria today now. If you look at the president, the executive arm of government, and the legislative arm of government, they are now working hand in hand, to the extent that quite recently, a new national anthem, the bill came into the House, because it was an executive bill. It came into the House. Within 24 hours, it was passed and sent to the president for assent. And within 24 hours or 48 hours, that particular bill became law, without Nigerians knowing how the methods they passed through first, second, and third reading. So it behoves of me and beats me hollow to now say that the leader of the legislature that ought to have an oversight function on the executive arm of government is now colluding in what ingloriously Baron Stanley Montesquieu, propounded and said, if there is fusion of powers, then we are drifting towards anarchy and anomy. And I don't know why Nigeria to be in that particular state where autocratic rule and democratic, autocratic rule and dictatorial rule will reign supreme in Nigeria today. Because if Akpabio is aligning with the president on all fours on a particular time, then it means that we are finished in Nigeria here. Now, how be it that a father of a nation, even when we are grappling with this debilitating poverty, angst, hunger in the land, hopelessness, you know, where people are looking so lugubrious, people are not happy. The Nigerian man is walking around, even myself sitting down here, I am a bundle of anger now, not because of the fact that I was offended by anybody here, but because of the state I find myself, that I cannot do things I'm supposed to do daily for my family and myself. How do you think that I will now react when I see a brand new aircraft, you know, not the one that was traded in, a brand new aircraft be purchased for the president, whosoever, as the case may be, from the appropriation account, even where we are suffering, no electricity, as the case may be, because a jet of that nature will cost money in billions, naira in billions, whether we like it or not, as the case may be, if not trillions. Yes. If they are to buy for the two of them, if not trillions. Now, $1 trillion is going to do a lot, you know, to assuage our feelings economically. And the president will know that under the constitution, because he swore to uphold that constitution, he has failed us. Section 16, sub 1, 2, 3, go down. You see what I'm telling you about. And he says that the president must tinker with the economy of the state to the happiness of Nigerians. That is specifically stated in the constitution. Section 16, you know, sub 2A says that as the president is tinkering with the economy of Nigeria, even the governor of a state, the local government people, that the economy must be tinkered with in such a way that we bring the happiness. Is stated there. For those who doubt me, go to section 16 and see what I'm saying. Read the whole section 16. You will see that it's a duty that behoves on the shoulders of the president, the governor, and even the local government caretaker committee, that they must tinker with the economy of their state, the federation, that will make me happy. The question I've asked today is that, am I happy? I am not happy. Okay. If I leave this to now, I move around in complete hopelessness, because I will look at it and say, look, there are things that were within my reach before now, but I cannot get them. So, and you are talking about a private jet for the two of you that is going to go into trillions. Oh my God, that is it's a sorry sight, and I wouldn't want to go more than it, because I feel, you know, so let me not go to that emotional gear. Right, let me not say things that will displease them.
All right. I know you're trying to strike a balance as regards the state of economy. Barrister G.U.J. Ohale, what can you say in response to that?
Thank you very much
because, you know, a lot
for having me.
Are writing on social media.
Yes.
They are complaining, say, why will the issue arise? Why will you even think about buying a craft?
Yes, well, let me enter from there.
Please,
that writing, asking question, goes down to what my colleague said, the anarchy. That was actually prophesied by Montesquieu. If there is fusion of power, separation of power is the judiciary, the executive, and the legislators. Now, where there is fusion of power, it simply means that they can no longer be a watchdog, because the whole idea is that they will be a watchdog to the other. So when these three arms fuse together, it means that the entire country is in jeopardy, which is what we are seeing now. They came up with the idea of removing fuel subsidy. And everybody supported this idea when the thing was overblown and overheated. The idea, including me, one day I told people that we are engaging, saying, why would they remove fuel subsidy? I told them maybe this removal now will catapult Nigeria to a place where the entire system will work well. And the people at the time, it was as if what I said in the hidden part came to be in the limelight, that the whole Nigeria said, okay, remove this subsidy. Let us see how Nigeria can be an advanced nation overnight. Now what Nigerians are seeing is hardship. Hardship. I pronounce it hardship. That is what Nigerians are seeing. Now, it is now observed, and I owe nobody apology, that the entire money that is going out of my pocket. One day I checked where I was recording money for fuel when I never knew I need to be very cautious. Within a short space of time, I spent 150,000 naira for fuel. Immediately I cautioned myself and said, no, Now, it means that the money I and other citizens of Nigeria are contributing is going to the hand of the executive, the presidency, into the pocket of Nigerians being managed by those at the helm of power. We are contributing from Nigerians are paying through their earnings, through their blood, through fuel. It is so huge that what Nigerians are parting, which means they only brought a medium through which the entire Nigerians will be contributing money through pence into their pocket, because it is now resulting in having overflow at the national account. Now, which we think that money will be reverted back in development, fixing the economy in a way and manner it ought to be, and that was our earnest desire. That was what every Nigerian was looking up to. That Nigeria will now cease to be an importing country alone. We'll start exporting goods. That is what we are looking at. That our economy is actually going to thrive in a way and manner that instead of Nigeria importing up to toothpick, Nigeria now will be exporting up to let's say we'll be exporting up to a toothpick or whatever thing. We'll start up to toilet rolls. That Nigeria can be exporting up to, instead of importing up to tissue or up to tissues and toothpick, we can export all those things in Nigeria. That we will be an exporting country. That is where my mind was working. Okay. No longer to dwell on the receiving side. So now going to the issue on ground, sorry, I have to go through that way. I'm now talking about the buying of aircraft. Like I say, people are writing on social media is heading towards anarchy. Yes, they are trying to push the people to the wall. Like my colleague rightly said, if there is need for aircraft, they shouldn't start with saying they want to buy aircraft. First of all, Nigerians should know that the aircraft the president is using is bad. It must be on news that the aircraft is bad. What do Nigerians think? It is, what is democracy? It's government of the people, by the people and for the people. You bring it up that the aircraft for the president is bad. From there, they can take it off from there. If it gets to a point where they will need aircraft, the whole masses will be aware. But for you to rise up one morning in the midst of hardship where people are suffering, and he said you want to buy aircraft, it doesn't matter how important, how obvious it is. I'm telling you, it's capable of causing war. Let me tell you, people are suffering. If you who can make 1 naira is passing through hardship, look at the woman that is selling groundnut, who can no longer use 5,000 naira to go and buy a tin in the market and feed the children. Look, let me tell you, people are suffering, people are burning. It is yes.
So instead of them concentrating on buying new aircraft, though is really needed, like if they need it, being the president, definitely he will need a private jet. If he's a vice president, he will need a private jet. But there's a difference between want and need at the moment. What is the immediate need, right? So
no, sorry. I want to address that issue. Let me address that issue. Okay. It is not an issue of whether he needs aircraft or not.
Okay.
I and you and other citizens have not even heard that the present aircraft is bad.
Okay.
There is no news.
So it should be in the news.
It should be in the news that the aircraft is bad. Then we need to start from there. To know, actually, there is need for that.
But Barrister Adams, how do you see that? Really, are we supposed to know that the aircraft is really bad, the one he's using? Is it supposed to be
Well, you see, the Senate committee, the Senate has a committee on the issue that concerns security and that safety of the presidency.
Yeah.
And in that particular committee, they normally liaise with the National Security Advisor and all these people, you know, where you have confidential information pertaining to, you know, the president and presidencies and those people occupying that particular seat. It's a security thing. I don't think they will come out openly to say. But it behoves on the Security and Safety Committee in the Senate to be very altruistic and trite and, you know, look at things from an objective angle. Truly, from information before us, does the president or the vice president need a new private jet?
At this time.
At this point in time, they should ask that germane and genuine question to their consciousness and say, do they need it? The second one is this: if they so need, based on the report we have gotten now, how do we procure it? These are issues they should do. Then they should inform Nigerians through the committee and the committee of the whole house.
That from their
findings. What they found that is that the president, they might not reveal details, but also the president need a new aircraft. And this is how we are going to procure that particular aircraft for the president. You understand? Okay. They should read the mood of the people. Let me encapsulate thoughts. Do you know that the New York Times recently, did an editorial on Nigeria, periscoping, this aircraft, Saga and Bruhaha that we have. And you know how the New York Times described the Nigerian situation vis-a-vis procurement of new aircrafts, for president and vice president. Ipso facto, the VP's residence that was recently upgraded, to something near the White House. You understand? It's like, this guy said, it's like the Alice in the Wonderland, kind of a story that we had in those days. Now, the New York Times now said that Nigeria has two planks: the plank of poverty and the plank of affluence. It's the two planks that can never meet. Now, the plank of affluence dominate that plank of poverty. They subjugate and use that plank of poverty to achieve their bidding and to protect their properties, to protect their families. And it is very true. When two people are having issues today, for instance, in River State, you look at the governor, minister, they're having issues. There are foot soldiers who these people did not even know, but they kill themselves on the street to protect the office of the governor for Safe Fubara and to protect the structure of the other man on the other side. So the New York Times said is that these are two gulf divide that is so now sweating. He now went further to describe Nigeria as a country that is de facto ruled by those people in affluence, but de jure ruled by those in poverty. That every Nigerian working ingeniously has become a government. That what the government ought to provide for the poor masses, the government is not able to do that. That every Nigerian has a government running in his own house. They prepare, they dig their boreholes, that they train their children in school, health, they pay their health fees, it is as case may be. Is it housing? A man pays rent in millions per annum without government intervention. I am trying to kind of summarize, the article and the editorial of, New York Times, as case may be. And I said that Nigeria is the only country in the world they have seen where government abdicate this responsibility to its citizens. And the citizens begin to be on this particular level of platter without complaining.
All right.
For instance, I came to this studio, there's no power, public power anywhere in my neighborhood. Nobody comes to explain to me that why there's no public power.
And at the end of the month, you pay bill.
They expect me to now provide power for myself. That is an aberration.
Okay.
That is what the New York Times is trying to say. And Nigerians should know that when we keep talking like this, it is not because of the fact that we hate the country, but want things to happen positively.
Okay.
Otherwise, we go back to the Hobbesian state, and the medieval livings, which is very not appropriate for all of us today.
Exactly. All right, well, we're moving on to one recent appointment. The Senate of the University of Abuja, they have appointed the youngest professor of law in the institution, Aisha Maikudi, as acting vice chancellor. Maikudi, who is a professor of international law, is the university's current deputy vice chancellor academics. Her appointment was announced following her nomination at the valedictory Senate meeting held on Wednesday, according to a statement by the outgoing Vice Chancellor Professor Abdul Rashid Nala Allah, noted that Maikudi's appointment was in a temporary capacity effective after the tenure of the current Vice Chancellor pending the ratification by the Governing Council. Nala rounds off his tenure on June 30, 2020. 2024 after a 5-year leadership at the institution. In her acceptance speech, Mary Cudi, as you can see her, thanked members of the Senate of the confidence reposed in her. She said, "I want to extend my deepest respect and appreciation to you all for the strong support and unwavering commitment that you have accorded me." She said, Mary Cudi was born on January 30, 1983. She attended Queen's College, Lagos, where she obtained her West African School senior school certificate. She proceeded to the University of Reading, graduating with LLB in 2004 and LLMN from School of London Economics and Political Science in 2005, and later bachelor PhD in international law. All right, that's the woman, a 41-year-old woman being appointed, but I believe that is a welcome to me. It's always a fellow woman, but some persons were saying that because she's a woman, how will she handle the Uni Abuja of all? You know, that Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, and irrespective of her appointment being, she was first of all the Vice Chancellor. Now she's been appointed as the acting Vice Chancellor of the university. Do you see anything wrong with her appointment, being a 41-year-old, woman?
It's a question for me.
I'm trying to see you. I'm coming
for
to
me,
you.
for me, I believe that you see, for the women folk and etc. Feminine gender, chauvinist, I think is appropriate. They will say she, another vice chancellor, but they forget easily that you see. Professor Grace Alele Williams was the first female vice chancellor. She's from my area. Okay. I'm so proud of her. She was the first female vice chancellor of the University of Benin, and even in the whole of Nigeria and Africa. If I'm talking very straight, without sentiments. Okay. First vice chancellor. Also, Senator Franca Afegba became the first woman senator in the whole of Nigeria, if not Africa, as the case may be. And they are from my region of Nigeria here. So I'm very proud of them. You understand? Not because they are women, but because of their achievements. Okay. We look at brains, not bronze or beauty, as the case may be. In this case, I applaud, maybe I'll give accolade to her, but it's not exceptional. Okay. Things have happened before now. Because it's a 41-year-old. The question I want to ask is this: are we running a gerontocracy in our institutions in Nigeria? Gerocratic oligarchs. Just like what happens in the political firmament all over the world. For instance, 81-year-old Biden, 78-year-old Donald Trump. Then you now come to Nigeria, you now have 70-something-year-old president, as the case will. So, gerocratic oligarchs have taken over, have permeated all facets of our polity, both in Nigeria and elsewhere. In Africa, you have very old leaders who are in their 80s, as the case may be. So we begin to celebrate and emulate a 41-year-old, taking responsibility of a university. Of course, it's an achievement, but I want to say, with due respect, Sunak is how old? The British Prime Minister is how old? Okay. You understand? Yes. The Canadian Prime Minister is how old? These are in their 30s, as the case may be. So I will celebrate you because in the African way of life and living, a 60-year-old man is regarded as a child, especially when you have money and, as case may say, is a young man, as case may be. So in this case, I think I am okay. But what beats me, Holo, even though I celebrate her, I do this, I hope that the process that brought her into this particular position was not a process that tomorrow somebody will come and fault and say she was not supposed to be the one there. There is somebody that was supposed to be there, but this person is from this part of the country, and he was sidelined. And they shunted the queue and now brought this lady. You understand the point? Because it does happen like that. Okay. If you look at the pedigree, that has been read out here and there, you find that she's more or less like a bloke. She's more or less like a privileged child, as case may be. Now, the question we're asking, because I saw a situation where one of my friends, who is in the police force, promoted commissioner of police, but I found out that his colleagues who are from somewhere outside of our region are also DIGs. These are people I know. So they keep complaining. I hope it's not that kind of situation that we have in this place. I'm not a pessimist, but I'm just facing reality as the case may be. I congratulate her. Young woman, 41 years old. I want to to be political, and you have to discharge your duties as Vice Chancellor acting to the best of your knowledge, judiciously and judicially, and uphold fundamental human rights of people or students or those you are working with. You know, grow that university to a level that the whole world will be proud of that. Because young people have failed us. Young people, many of, let me not generalize, but many young people in government today, they have failed us. I don't want to mention their names, we know them. So please don't be one of those young people who will later be seen as a failure. Do the best for Nigeria.
All right, now Barrister G.U.J. Ohale, what's your take on this, the appointment of this 41-year-old acting Vice Chancellor?
It's not an issue.
Okay.
Because at 40, I don't think there is nothing you cannot do with sound mind.
All right.
Her appointment is welcomed. All she has to do now is to wake up to her responsibility, because it is not the appointment per se, it is the duty you discharge that will actually tell the people whether you are matured, qualified or not. It is not the position, but what you give in that university is what is actually going to promote you to the next level of life you are going to live. So it's a welcome development. Her age bracket should not be an issue, because even at 30, you can still be a vice chancellor. You can even be a president of a nation. So the age, like my colleague said, I think it's because of our mentality in Africa here, where we are good in having old people as being leaders. So when a young person comes up, it becomes an issue. It is not an issue at all to be discussed. All I'm saying is that she is there. If the parameter for which she came is also a very good one, not something that tomorrow they will actually come and start fighting her again, because maybe our people like older people because of the fights. Because of the fight. He may not understand this, but he may also know that even in university, sometimes they are divided, just like PDP is divided in Nigeria today, or is it River State? Just like some parties are being divided. Even in university, they form group. They are so maybe they feel she may not have the momentum to withstand the other group or whatever. But all we are saying is that all things being equal, 41 years old is not a bad age to actually be a vice chancellor. She should actually use her youthful exorbitant to actually give the best in the Uni Abuja, and ensure that her generation, people will always say that she actually did very well. Let she not only stop from where the former stopped. She should ensure that she advanced that university to the next level, to a level where her name will be inscribed in that university.
All right. I would just want to appreciate you so much. We want to move on to, finally, let's look at what the United States has actually said with respect to transgender children. We want to look at, take a very quick one about the transgender. The Supreme Court of the state of Texas and the United States has backed a law that stops doctors from giving medical treatment to children who feel their gender is different from the one that we are born with. This is happening in the United States and Texas. That treatment includes puberty blockers, hormones, and other medicines that help transgender children feel more comfortable in their bodies, Reuters reported on Friday. The Texas law took effect on September 1, 2023, after Republican Governor Greg Abbott signed it in June 2023. The law prohibits doctors from performing gender transition procedures or treating gender dysphoria in individuals under 18 years old. Opponents of the law, including parents, doctors, and advocacy groups, took legal action to stop it from being enforced. A judge agreed with them, issuing an injunction and ruling that the law likely went against the Texas Constitution. On Friday, the Texas Supreme Court overturned the earlier decision, declaring the law constitutional and allowing it to stand. Now, in the majority opinion, Justice Rebecca Hodel stated that although parents have a significant right to make decisions about their children's health care without government intrusion, this is right. This right is not absolute. She stated that the legislature has the authority to regulate medical practices, including in cases where parents' decision may conflict with the state interest. Now, we're talking about transgender children, and they are trying in the United States, precisely in Texas, they are banning them of having a medical treatment. I want to start from you, Barrister G.U.J. Holly. What's your little take on this?
Well, my take is that banning them from accessing medical treatment is a welcome development, because I'll talk in two ways here. It's a welcome development in that it is ungodly for somebody who was born a female to artificially become a male. Is something that God himself condemns. The problem is from the government that actually initiated it, that prompted them to go into that state. But looking at it on the other hand, it is also means it's a procedure to also allow them die. Because where they don't get medical treatment, they will certainly die.
Okay, a quick one, Barrister Adam Sasem. Do you think there's a way, or a very quick one, to stopping those people from becoming transgender?
I think the best way is to legislate, which they have done.
Okay.
That it now becomes an offense when you engage in trying to be a transgender.
You're born a female and you
change your position to be
that they should outrightly ban it. But it's not so in the US. You know why? Okay. It's so controversial. It's because of their constitution. That's also about liberty and right. Okay. That every man has the right to do whatever they want to do. If you want to turn to goat, you want to turn to fowl, you do it. That is why you find out that today, most of the transplant that we have are done in the US. Even in agriculture, let me tell you, the natural occurrence is that an ordination by God is that women should bear children, men should help to bear children, as the case may be. And there's a natural process you pass through. Now, even in plants, when you want to make mango, you have to plant the seed. It is the seed that will germinate and now become a mango. But when you want to use some chemicals and whatever to now infuse that mango to make it more juicy and bigger, you find that when you taste the original mango, it's not the same taste
with the other natural
the artificial one. As the case, so likewise it's for human beings. So what they are saying here, from what I understand, is that yes, transgender, you can do that, but you cannot conceive. There's a musician. I saw it. I was shocked. A musician in America that is pregnant, but it's a male, and gave birth by cesarean section and brought out a child. For me, that was disgusting and at the same time unnatural. I felt, I shuddered. I don't know how the doctors did it. He's a transgender. He was a man. He now became a woman, but now had a baby, was pregnant. Had a baby, took few tools up. I don't know how those doctors did it, but this man delivered, that baby. It was so unnatural that people that were watching were so disgusted. And I asked myself, what do these people need? Is it the reason why you produce spacecraft to go to this? You want to go and look for where God is residing? As the case may be, what is happening in the US? To the extent that even priests are even, being transgender. And some churches even support and, wear them. The hospitals that deliver that woman of a baby, what record will you keep? You understand? That you delivered a man, ordinary, naturally a man, who later became a woman of a baby. I don't know what kind of science these people are trying to do. So for me, I think this particular judgment is apt. But that is not the final one. They might get to Supreme Court now, the U.S. Supreme Court, they call SCOTUS. And you now find out that they now, shoot down this particular, decision of the Supreme Court of Texas. Because America has a firmament and, layers of a justice system that they have. The Supreme Court Federal might shut this one down and say, no, every man has a right. Because the judge even rightly quoted in a summation and judgment says, yes, that you have rights that are there, that are intrinsic in you, given to you by the Constitution. But there are limits that the law, even in Nigeria here, for every particular right a human being has, there are limitations. So it's not right that is so allowed there 100% as the case may be. Government can decide to intervene to save your life, to save society, in this case, to save society. Because I will not be happy employing, for instance, a child that was born by a man. How is it going to look like? So the children, when they grow up to now find out that when they are in school and they play, say, where's your mom? You bring your mom. They say, okay, you bring your mom, you go and bring a man. I mean, it's so disorganizing.
So queer.
And to also add, if those rights exercising them will actually corrupt public morals.
Yes, you see, so they can go against
that,
it.
The government will come and say, no,
I don't know what American
with respect to this transgender, it's actually corrupting public morals.
I don't know what Americans
are looking for. I don't know. Said. You know, I don't know where they emanated it from. Now, they are the only thing that they are putting the life of those people in danger. Because stopping that, like I rightly said, he agreed with me that stopping their marriage means they will all die.
They will die now.
They will be dead because they are now victim of circumstance based on what a particular government initiated.
Okay, I believe they have to tackle it collectively.
Yes.
Well, that's the most of it. This morning, Atn Saturday, I just want to thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you.
You are so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, peace and unity. I don't have it. My name is Angel. Thank you so very much for being part of us this morning. You have a wonderful, wonderful.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract where we do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old things. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap am.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I'm supposed to pay that one. You remember say me and tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. Where we don't they beg caretaker? Where would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time. Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Atn Saturday Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.